Hello everyone, today we're here to review My City Roll and Build. This is kind of brand new, kind of not, depending on what language you're in. Germany, for instance, had this time last year, I think. It's effectively just come out here in the UK. I'm not too sure about other territories, but it is the roll and write, effectively, version of My City. My City being a fantastic legacy game, so know that going in. I was a fan of the original that this roll and write is based upon, but does it live up to the hype? Well, let's work out roughly how the game plays. I'll teach you roughly how it goes on a turn, touch on some of the aspects, because it's semi-ish legacy. I'll touch on that, and just know that it was provided to me for the review. So in My City Roll and Build, the game plays in a similar way to My City. If you've not played that, don't worry. You are filling your board, your, in this case, paper, with polyomino shapes, Tetris-like shapes. Now, in the original My City, that was based on flipping over cards. In this, you're going to roll some dice. 3 dice to be particular. One of them is going to tell you what type of building it is, and you're very quickly going to forget what they are and just call them solids, stripes, and X's, because they're the 3 symbols that you're going to be putting on these buildings. The other 2 dice add together based on this little circle bit in the middle. They build together to make a polyomino shape. That might be just 1 cube, it might be a 2 by 2 cube, it might be an L shape, a long straight line, and a few sort of other variations that it can cause. You're going to be adding those and building out across your map sheet. There's going to be a river going through the middle that you can't have those buildings, sort of an individual building spanning, but you can build across the river in terms of one building here, then the next building be the other side of it, because you're trying to build out in adjacencies. Well, you have to, for the most of the time, build out all of your stuff adjacent to each other, and then you are trying to score points. You're going to score points for having stuff still on your board at the end, on your pad of paper at the end, so trees, for instance. Throughout the experience, you're going to get points for the trees that are left. You can build over them, and sometimes you might want to, but if you don't, they're going to be worth points. There's also going to be stones that if you don't build over will lose you points, and then there's some other bits like if you have blank spaces, often that will lose you points. That is pretty much the start of the experience. That first one is very simple, episode 1. You're kind of just trying to fill the board and not cover trees, cover rocks, and that's kind of about it. It does definitely step up from there, but not to an extreme level, but just with a bit more scoring opportunities going on. So, it's not really on a turn, it's on a round, because everyone's using the same dice roll in the middle. The dice are rolled, you put the 2 blue dice together to make the shape, you look at the white dice, it's going to tell you the pattern of that building, and you draw it on your sheet. The other people are drawing it on their sheet. Yeah, you might start off in the same location, drawing. By the end, everyone's is going to look quite different, certainly as the game goes on, and the choices become, am I racing for this or am I racing for that? And trying to do different things first. So let's touch on now the legacy-ish element. So there are 12 episodes in this. Unlike the original My City, it's not stickers to put down. You can have a look. As soon as you open the box, you could technically look through at any of the maps and you can play them individually, but there is the general progression of going through them that it kind of is meant for. And you're going to play episode 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and they're split into chapters of 3. So each time you go to a new sheet, it sometimes, or most of the time, introduces a new thing. Now let's touch about the first thing it introduces, and I'll loosely talk about some of the others, but I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it's not hidden, so it's not spoiling it like a legacy game. For instance, wells are added in episode 2, and they're just something that if you surround them with 4 different buildings on up, down, left, right, you're going to get bonus points for that. You don't have to do that, but it's an opportunity for more points. So there's going to be new ways to score points, maybe grouping the colours or patterns of buildings rather than them just being spread out. There's going to be a variety of other things like churches, gold, fortresses, but let's not touch on too much of that so you can explore the game yourself. But again, it's not fully legacy, but the episodes have something different, and maybe like those worlds, they're not going to be in it from episode 2 through to the end. They will sort of be in it for a few episodes, then a new thing will replace them, just to sort of keep it a bit fresh. And well, we'll come on to that, but it does keep it fresh. So yeah, when you open the box, you're going to pick your sheet, you're going to be rolling the dice, scoring up at the very end. You can pass, at least on most of the episodes, you can pass by taking a little point reduction, and you can do that so many times before you then have to bow out, or you can choose to bow out and not take the minus points. And it works really quite well, and it does feel quite similar to my city. So let's talk about what I think about it. Well, I very much enjoy it. I said at the start, I'm coming at this from the angle of enjoying the original. I really enjoyed my playthrough with my wife of my city, and we enjoyed this. Both of us really enjoyed playing through this. It's a really sort of pleasant, easygoing roll and write or polyomino placement game. Yes, you've got that some extra luck in this, whereas in the original you knew certain shapes then were going to be coming out because, well, we've used all of the L shapes. We're not going to get any more of those. With dice, you're not getting that, but it still captures that very much easygoing, just let's play through, and it's not super complicated and everything, and it captures that part of my city really nicely. Now, like I touched on there, the dice does add a bit of luck to it, but it also means that from one play to the next, it is going to feel quite different. We had on one of the sheets, considering that the dice that tells you what pattern it is that you're going to draw of that building, each of the patterns is on two sides of the six-sided dice. We actually had stripes only come up like once out of like the 30 buildings that were drawn, or like twice, and it's like, wow, okay. In that we were scoring for like groups of colours, so groups of patterns, so it was like, right, we're not going to be scoring many for stripes. In another game, well, there's going to be a nice split, and then you've got that awkwardness of trying to sort of make sure all of the patterns are together. And that could be just on the same sheet, and that's something that just from a deck where you've got distinct tiles, that wouldn't happen. You don't get that huge variation. Now, again, you have to be okay with the luck factor, but it's a 15, 20 minute long game, so luck doesn't matter too much. Yeah, you can feel, we got a bit unlucky there, but most of the time you've backed yourself into it by the choices of where you've put the previous shapes on your sheet. So you've kind of made it so it's like, I have to get that shape coming out off this dice, because otherwise I can't go. I'm going to have to take negative points or drop out, sort of thing. I think some people are going to not gel with that too much, but I think most people will be absolutely fine because of the speed of this game. It's not like you're playing an hour and that bit of misfortune can screw your whole hour over. Most of the time, it's not screwing you over, it's just your previous choices have made that dice roll not great for you. Having the 12 different episodes to play through, and we've gone through all of them in order, we did that whole campaign sort of style. I particularly like the fact that it keeps being fresh. There's something, I mentioned it, some things come in and then they're cycled out, and then there's a different way to score, or a different way that you'll lose points if you don't do something. In some of them, there is a race to do certain things, so it doesn't matter if you've got 2 people around the table or 5 people around the table. It plays up to 6, by the way, because, well, first of all, it's all simultaneous, but you're still, if you can do that before anyone else, you can cover all those certain spaces on the map before anyone else. That's normally quite a good amount of points. It's like maybe 5, maybe 10 points. Now, when your scores are normally like 100, 5 to 10 points is quite a big percentage to have got, and other people can't get because you did it first. And if multiple people do it in like the same round, they all score. It's quite friendly in that sort of scoring aspect. some of the earlier ones don't have that race element. They're just play out and then at the end score up. So then you've got very different maps as you're playing through, some with that race, some not, and that's a nice sort of balance. Now there are a few, I think the first map, for example, that we're not going to play that often, again, unless we're playing it through as a full campaign, because if we're going to play just a one-off map, the first map is almost a tutorial. It's brilliant if you've not played My City at all before, be it in the roll or the original. Roll or original, there we go. Either variant, if you've not played this series, that is the brilliant tutorial of it's super simple, just fill out some tiles as you're going and at the end you'll score a few points, but it doesn't matter, you're not going to win or lose the campaign off this. It's quite basic though. It's only after a couple of extra sort of scoring opportunities have been added that the game really gets going. Now that's, 15 minutes for your tutorial. That's great to learn the rules, everyone's up to speed, and then, there's opportunities to score big. And that's when it's important, because when you can score big and get more than your opponents, you're going to win the campaign as a whole. So I like that it's not like game one, oh, I've done awful. God, I'm going to really struggle here to claw back anything on this entire 12 episode campaign. No, after game one, everyone should be a bit more up to speed. They'll seen how the game plays. It's just, if you're replaying just individual maps, it's the one that is probably going to get played the least. There's certainly also some ones, like I say, some people will like the race ones, some people will like some of the other scoring elements, maybe a bit more spatial puzzles, to do with like grouping the patterns up. So people will have their favourites. I think most people will just play through multiple times though. And you can. Unlike My City, my biggest problem with My City was you're using these stickers and you've used them up. You cannot replay unless you go and buy another full version of it. My City has enough sheets in there that you can play with 6 players through at least, I think, with 6 players, the maximum it suggests, 1 to 6. With 6, you could play through twice because the sheets are double-sided. So you could play through the whole thing at least twice. It might be more than that. But even then, me and my wife played through. Means we've got loads of sheets left to carry on playing. And we're actually looking forward to going through this again at some point. Maybe not straight away. We've played 12 games of this, in succession to play through the campaign. But we will be revisiting it. One aspect that the original shined a little bit stronger at is the fact that it was a legacy game. Now, in this you're still playing through 12 episodes, but there is very little sort of continuation. Yes, there's a sort of storyline which links them together, this plot of land and how it develops, and you're still building on it though. Each time it's seemingly emptied out again. But the actual sort of from one game to the other, it's just the score that carries on and builds up for the overall campaign. There's a few later on that do have something that moves. Depending on what you've done in one episode, something appears on your next sheet. Now, in My City, the legacy sort of experience, the original, that happened from day dot. You had one board, whoever won or lost the first game, everyone put some stickers down, and then game 2, yours was physically different. And I just wish they could have done something here. Now, what could they have done? Well, they could have potentially meant that whoever won in one game had to draw some extra rocks, or the person that lost could draw an extra tree onto their episode 2 sheet before they started. I think that would have been a nice touch, as it is done at one point in sort of the episodes, and I think that's one part that the original is slightly better at. At the same time, like I said, the original, we can't just go and play it through again unless we rebuy the game. This we can, and we will. I think that sums up where we are with My City. If you liked the original, you'll like this. Yes, it's got the luckiness of dice rather than the definitive going through that pile of cards in a deck, but it's short. The dice are normally, it's normally your fault that you can't use a certain shape, and everyone's using the same shape anyway, so it's not like you're getting screwed over versus an opponent. It doesn't have as much of a link between the episodes, but you can replay them once you're done. And if you're going to want to commit to 12 more games after playing 12 games of something, well, I think that's a pretty good sort of recommendation for a game. Be it a quick one, be it a long one, if you're willing to play it that much and you want to, well, My City Roll and Build was a fantastic experience, and one that we will certainly be experiencing again. Thanks for watching my review on My City Roll and Build. Please check out other reviews on the channel, or news and other stuff, because we do some playthroughs, we do news and reviews, and how to plays as well. So yeah, go and check that out on the channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.